Hello everyone and welcome to the Sleepy Spaniel channel, and today I'm going to be having a look at Plague Inc. Evolved, a game that really is a very simple concept. Create your own plague and kill the world. Now as far as I'm aware, Plague Inc. is a sort of spiritual successor to an old browser-based flash game called Pandemic, which I played the ever-living balls off when I was younger, desperately trying to infect Madagascar. So I was very excited when I found about this game, and it's on Steam and also on mobile devices. So we're going to have a quick game, and we're going to play the main game. There's other options. At the moment, you can speedrun against your friends. Sorry about that. Do some official scenarios, which are very specific cases, and custom scenarios aren't available yet. This is still sort of an early access game. So we're going to play main game. And so far, I have successfully completed all of the different plague types, and completed up to the Nurax worm on Brutal. So up to the coronavirus on Brutal. I haven't quite done that yet. I've tried and I failed. I will be making another video on that shortly, hopefully, where I finally beat that thing. But for the time being, we're just going to play as a bacteria. And these are genetic code modifications you can add. You unlock these by completing the game, but for the time being, just because we're going to play the bacteria, we're not going to use any. We're going to have a box standard, basic, completely plain bacteria. We're just going to play them normal, just so we get a feel of the game. That was what I was calling my necrovirus, my zombie virus earlier. A little reference to a certain film you may want to get there. So it's a bacteria, we're going to call it... Let's call our bacteria... Betty. There we go, Betty. Betty the bacteria. Right. So here we go. Welcome to Plague Inc. You are a new bacteria. To win, you must evolve and spread across the world, wiping out humans in the ultimate plague. So first thing you have to do is just select your starting location, which is actually quite useful. In the old Pandemic flash game, it picked place at random for you, so that, you know, very random as to kind of what happens when you have a starting location. Your plague will automatically get its own traits towards the climate. So if you start in a hot country, it'll automatically be resistant to heat and humidity or cold, depending on when you start. So with Pandemic, what we can do, or Plague Inc., sorry, is we can choose our own location to sort of try and make it a little bit easier. So a good place which I've been using all the time, pretty much all the time I use this country, is actually India. India has a population of 1.3 billion. It's a hot and slightly humid country with seaports and airports, so it's got sea and air links, as well as plenty of land borders to places like Southeast Asia, China, and Pakistan. So it's a really, really good place to start off with. It's got a massive population to start getting our plague spreading, and lots of different links to many, many other countries. So we are going to start in India. Sorry, India. Nothing personal, you're just a good place to start with. Alright, so Betty is infected its first human. It's weak and used to hot temperatures. It must evolve using DNA points to infect more people. Right, so we play a little bubble and we get a boost for infecting India. Right, so now the best tactic for this game really is just patience. This game isn't a game you can speed run through 100 miles an hour and infect the world in 5 minutes, unless you're really, really lucky, and that's probably not going to happen. The best strategy is to take your time, have lots of patience, and keep your plague hidden. You want to make sure that no one finds this thing until every last person on Earth is infected. So we get news. Here we get like news articles. So this is saying that India is celebrating the Festival of Love, and the fans praise the replacement for International Kissing Day. You get little news that can help, so flooding, all sorts of things that can help you decide what kind of upgrade you're going to get, and you get some funny ones, so do keep your eye on the news feed up here, as you might see a couple of funny things. Right, so this is an orange DNA bubble. They cut randomly and they give you a boost to your DNA points down here. So Betty's beginning to spread, and now over 34 people in India have got it. So firstly, what we're going to do is we're going to quick look at the overall stats. So this is, when the bacteria started. So here we're saying actually started on the 1st of July 2013. It's a bacteria. We're on normal difficulty. It's in India. Its genetic complexity is simple. We have used no DNA points. It's got daily infections of 3, no deaths, average infections of 1. Right, so these are the transmission traits. These are how we're going to start getting Betty spreading through the world. So this is airborne, means Betty will get into the air and float about on the wind. This is waterborne. Betty will get into the water and end up all over the place. We can transmit Betty via blood, by insects, livestock, rodents, and birds. Now, we're not going to be touching any of these because each time you cross the species barrier, the chance for your plague to mutate increases, and we want to keep and when it mutates, we mutate a random symptom, and once a symptom starts sending up, it gets noticed. We want to make sure that Betty doesn't get noticed for as long as possible, so we're going to keep it strictly to air and waterborne. We could go into blood, but it does increase the mutation chance, so we are already going to stick to waterborne and airborne, where it will not cause it to mutate, but it will help spread it. Here we have abilities, so we can help Betty be more resistant to cold, and resistant to things like medicine, heat, and each virus or plague type will have its own special ability. Bacteria has its bacterial resilience, which means it creates its own bacterial shell, which helps to protect against all climates, which is very useful to help spread this thing. So we currently have enough points to buy a transmission trait. So firstly, we're going to get Betty airborne. We're going to spend 9 points and get Betty flying on the wind a bit more. And so this is really all the first part of this game is. So we're going to speed up, and we're just going to let Betty start spreading. And so this is what they're saying: we have successfully evolved Betty. We know that. We don't need to see that anymore. So the first majority of this game is just patience, keeping your plague hidden from everyone. We can find out, so we can find out about countries. So we click here, it tells us more about India. There, how much they're putting into research the cure for your plague, etc., etc. The kind of traits, so the fact it's hot, humid, all these kinds of things. We don't really need to worry about too much about that. So, okay, Betty is infected hundreds in India, increasing the chance that an infected person will infect a healthy person, which is all good. So we just need to wait, keep building up these points, and buying these transmission traits. So now Betty's waterborne. It's going to help Betty survive on ships and places like that, so she can get to places like Madagascar, into Indonesia, or the Philippines, New Guinea, places like this. And this is the first part of the game, just patience, building up how infectious this disease is, and getting it spreading. So the first stage can be quite boring, quite slow, but just be patient and you can have a lot of fun. So Betty's now beginning to infect thousands of people in India, which is fantastic, is what we want. Another DNA able to pop there, and another one. That's nice. So we can keep buying these transmission vectors, or even moving into areas like this. Now, countries such as the UK, America, Europe, they have lots of money. They're all richer countries, and so they have better healthcare. So you need to invest in things like drug resistance, where your plague will become resistant to drugs. So we can make Betty resistant to class 1 and 2 antibiotics, which will help spread it. We don't need to worry about that just yet because we're not in any of those countries. Likewise for making it cold, we don't have to worry about heat too much because we start in India. Betty is already automatically resistant to heat. So we need to worry about is cold, and making Betty more resistant to cold when we start wanting to spread into places like Russia and Greenland and Iceland, these colder countries where they are very cold and Betty will struggle to survive. So at the moment, again, there's not really much that we can do other than just keep waiting, building up these points and getting it spreading via air and water. So some random news reports that come up. Some of them are funny, so you can have a read of those. Just to keep waiting, keep popping these bubbles when they pop up to get more points. And your plague can have a random chance to mutate a symptom. When that happens, you want to go straight into our disease control area and de-evolve that symptom straight away to keep it hidden. And yes, we are beginning to spread. We are now into Pakistan. Betty has gone across the border into Pakistan, which is brilliant. We want this to start spreading as fast as possible. Now we're going to get more points because it's spreading faster, and we can then put more points into spreading even faster. So we're now going to get it airborne too. I'm going to put some more bubbles. We just want Betty to start spreading farther and farther as fast as we can. And there's not really. We don't have to go at this like a ball in a china shop. We can take our time. as long as we keep Betty hidden from the world, Betty is now more infectious than TB, which is brilliant. As long as we make sure there are no symptoms and no one detects Betty, we're going to be fine. So yeah, we're now into. See, we're spreading faster now, which is brilliant. Here we go. We're going everywhere. Look at this. We're into New Guinea. We're into Saudi Arabia. We're going everywhere. Betty is spreading like wildfire. Which is fantastic. So, more infectious than HIV. Brilliant. Yes, here we go. We're into the UK. Now, you may not notice, but the ships and planes flying around, sometimes they'll randomly become red. Well, that means that there's an infectious person on board that ship or that plane. And if you follow it and track it to a country, it means that country is going to get infected. So, actually, we can see the ship down here heading off, probably to South Africa. So, we're probably about to get South Africa. We've got into Australia. This is already good. Yep, there we go. Wait for it. 3, 2, 1. There we go. We're into South Africa. Okay, yes, so this is what I was saying earlier. Medicine in the UK is slowing in the infection now because the UK is a rich country, it's got good healthcare. Betty's struggling as all the antibiotics that people get given is killing off Betty faster than she's infecting people. Why am I referring to Betty as a she? Oh, there we go, we've just got... yeah, okay, let's just think about the world menu, you know that. So yeah, we are now into Egypt. France. So we really just going to pause a second because we really do need to start sorting some stuff out. We don't need symptoms yet. We want abilities. So we're going to go and buy a drug resistance 1, as this will help Betty begin to infect more people in England. Really would like to get the drug resistant 2, which makes Betty resistant to class 3 and 4 antibiotics. But for the time being, that costs 26. We're a bit short at the moment, so we're going to have to keep waiting. We could invest early in cold resistance, as England is technically in a cold country, which that will help it as well. So we'll do that, and we'll keep going, because we have a look at England, and we check it, as we can see here, England is a cold country, but it does have money, it does have good healthcare. We are in, so was that Canada, or was that America? No, that was America. Right, we are also in Iran. This is good, we're beginning to spread. Everyone in India has Betty, which is brilliant. So we're just going to keep doing this, so slowly letting Betty infect the world before we have a bit of fun. There's a lot of waiting around. Oh, nope, I thought we were going to get someone new then. Nope, that shit went to France. Can we get... Oh, that was no. Oh, there we go. Aha, right, 2 important things. 1, we've infected... country down here. Was that Madagascar? No, I think it was Madagascar. Right, so Betty has got nausea. Now, nausea can be useful. We go and have a look in our symptoms tab. Nausea can help spread slightly when kissing, like earlier we talked about the India celebrating National Love Day and kissing, which if we had nausea would have helped spread it. We don't really want it though because it can then be detected. However, if it only causes nausea, doctors aren't going to worry too much about it, but they potentially might then start to just investigate it, and then that means they're more likely to start developing a cure sooner. We want to keep it hidden, so we go to de-evolve the nausea symptom, and it's actually going to give us 2 DNA points for doing so. So we do that and we get +2, so up to 27. We want to keep doing this anytime a symptom mutates, and this allows us to then make Betty waterborne too, which will help us spread Betty more. Then once you get to level 2 and level 2 airborne and waterborne, you unlock the extreme bioaerosol trait, which allows Betty to pass through air and water filters, and which helps it, and especially in humid and arid climates, so humid and really hot dry climates and plane and ships. So we can get that, and that will really help Betty spread. But once again, we've used a lot of our points to do waterborne too, and it's the case of going back and waiting. Now we can speed up time even more. We're about to go to Japan. We're in Japan. We are into Brazil. We are into Spain. We are in Libya. Betty is really getting out there now. Bacteria is the bog standard basic one. Look at this. We are just off the chain right now. We're going everywhere. Betty's spreading faster than we can even. Wow. Iceland, we're good. We're into Iceland. Iceland and the colder countries are the hardest ones. Oh, we're into New Zealand, we're into Madagascar. Madagascar's always annoying on pandemic. We're into Afghanistan now. Oh god, we're everywhere. I'm trying to talk. Right, okay, so oh my god, I'm clicking to Korea. Oh my god, Korea, and there we go. Oh my god, we're everywhere. Turkey just got hit. Right, okay. Can I talk now? Okay. I think I can. No. There we go. We're into Kazakhstan. I don't know how many countries are still standing. Just a few. Well, more than a few, but there we go. These are the countries who are infected, these are the ones who are still healthy, and these are the countries who are just dead, and there's no one alive. As we can see, we've got 23% of the world infected right now. Actually, you know what? Let's just pause. Right, so the countries up here, so countries like Norway, Sweden, Finland, Iceland, Greenland, and even, surprisingly, Canada. You wouldn't think because it's on the border of America, but they are very hard to get into. And for some reason, so is actually Morocco. Morocco is really annoying to get into. And sometimes, actually, the Philippines, but especially Greenland and Iceland. Once you get to Iceland, Iceland then has the sea connection to Greenland, and so there getting Iceland. It's good to get it to Greenland, but the populations in Iceland and Greenland are quite small. Have a look at Greenland, and he has a population of apparently 56,000, and they are very few and far between. So it does take a very long time for the infection to completely infect everyone in Greenland. And the same for Iceland. If you look at Iceland, they have a 317,000 population, and again it takes a while to get to all of them. Oh, lost my mouse for a second then. But now we have some more points, so we can then do this. We'll do the extreme bioaerosol trait, which helps spread Betty more. We can grab cold 2 to help the colder countries. We could probably go for bacterial resilience soon, and we do want to try and get to drug resistant 2, which will help, especially in countries like America where it's spreading very slowly, and for Europe because of the healthcare these countries have, and of course it goes for Canada. Betty is now more infectious than the common cold. Good on you, Betty. And so you just take your time and very slowly build up the infection rate until the entire world has succumbed to Betty. Oh, we've got Central America, we've got Canada, we've got, is that the Philippines? Yes, we've got the Philippines, we've got Argentina, we've got Bolivia, we've got Colombia, we've got, oh, everyone's just going again. We've got just on the edge somewhere, we've got Mexico, there we go, we've got some other DNA points, we can buy some more stuff. Let's go for drug resistance 2 to help Betty spread through the Americas and in Europe. Once you start buying more and more of these traits, you'll notice that your plague will just start spreading like it does every time we've had massive increases in the infection rate and Betty spreading is when we brought more upgrades to the way it gets transmitted and different abilities, so its ability to be more resistant to cold and heat and drugs. And you can see it's now really picking up in Russia because we've got cold resistance 2, picking up in Europe because of it's a huge earthquake in Sweden. People are going to die from that probably. Maybe not. As we can see, Europe is spreading through Europe. We're into Greenland, fantastic. And we're backing up a lot of points now. We want this. Now, I want to check the world map. Only Sweden. We're waiting on you, Sweden. Where are you? There we are. Come on, Sweden. Yes, we're into Sweden. This is fantastic. Every single country in the world, at least one person has got Betty. Right, we're instantly going to go and get rid of cysts. Even though they do help to spread Betty when they pop and burst, we're going to keep Betty completely symptom-free until everyone in the world. See, as we've got drug resistance to America, Europe, they've all just fallen to Betty. Everyone is now affected. All of the European countries, everyone's got Betty. Everyone in Brazil, everyone in Argentina, it's just the whole world is succumbing to Betty, and we are building up a massive amount of DNA points, which will be very, very useful in a very short amount of time when we, how can we put this, when we let Betty go live, shall we say. When Betty's ready to go live, we're going to have a lot of fun with the massive amount of points we're building up. So it's been nearly 2 years since Betty was, well, no, not quite, but it's getting towards 2 years. Oh no, it's no, a year. Well, just over a year, I should say, since Betty was released upon the world, and the entire world has nearly succumbed to her. Well, when I say that, I mean got infected by her, and that black bar there is people who have died. 1,902 people have died from the earthquake in Sweden, I believe it was. So you'll get people dying from random natural disasters, and so currently 99% of the world is infected with Betty. We could potentially rank up the fatality and severity of Betty at the moment, but we can leave it out a minute. it looks to me as if we're waiting on Greenland. It is beginning to pick up in Greenland. Greenland and Iceland, they start out very slowly, even with your cold distance that we can put into it, because the population groups, the groups of people who live in Greenland are very few and far between, and so it takes once you get into those first couple of thousands, which can take a few good minutes. We're talking a good 5 minutes or so here. But once that happens, it will start to spread as it is, and we're way past or up to halfway now, and so Betty has now developed nausea. Now, if this was any other point in this game, I'll go straight into our disease control and just de-evolve it. But we're at the point now where it will not matter. All it will do is help spread it through Greenland, and doctors won't pay too much attention to a new bug that's just apparently giving people a bit of a stomach upset and making people throw up. They won't care about that. They'll say it's mostly harmless and won't look into it. So it's fine to leave nausea as it is now. We're just going to keep it. It doesn't matter, because soon the whole world's going to be dead. It really will take a matter of minutes from now until the world has been wiped out. So we're just waiting on Greenland here. As you see, it's now massively shooting up in Greenland. Every single ship and plane going from around the world is completely infected. Everyone's got it now, pretty much, just waiting for this last. There we go. We should get a message any second now. 3, 2, 1. Now. No, maybe not. We're waiting on anybody. Come on. Any second now. No one's healthy. We haven't got the message though, which is a bit annoying. We should have a message saying the last healthy person on Earth has become infected with Betty. Hasn't come up. Don't. No. No, just scientists apparently got a breakthrough in the understanding of inflammation and be able to cure a disease with it more easily. It doesn't matter. We're not going to be putting inflammation into Betty because it's not necessary. I'm surprised that the little box saying that the last healthy person on Earth has become infected with Betty hasn't turned up. Maybe because those 1,102 people who died in that earthquake didn't get it. Okay, basically, here we are. The doctor noticed there's some weird illness going through India, but they say there's no evidence of ill health, so not too worried about it. Well, so rather than dilly-dallying around now, we might as well pause the game, and now in one swift move, I'm turning into a cow. In one swift movement, we are going to up the severity and lethality of Betty and completely kill everyone. We could get 2 extra points. Not that we need them, but let's do it anyway. We don't need nausea anymore. Go away, nausea. We're going to hit coughing. Then we're going to go on to sneezing. These are very low-level symptoms that don't cause too much concern with doctors, but help spread it, along with rashes and cysts, and they help spread it. We don't need to worry about that. We spread it completely fine without touching any of these, without making Betty completely invisible. We're then going to go on to immune suppression, which suppresses the immune system and allow more infection and all sorts of random stuff to happen, which is a horrible thing to have. And then we're going to total organ failure. Yep, we're going to make sure everybody's organs just completely go kaput. In one fell move, people are going to start dropping like flies, and to make it harder for doctors to find a cure, we're going to make them fall into a coma as well. There we go. In one fell move, we can get some more points back by de-evolving sneezing and coughing. We don't need them anymore. We'll keep immune suppression, major total organ failure, and coma. It's going to be hard for doctors to ask someone how they're feeling when they're in a coma, and then when their hearts are exploding, that's going to be pretty difficult for them to cure as well. So in one fell swoop, we have made Betty lethal. It's gone from being nothing to lethal. That doesn't look particularly lethal when you think about its severity compared to 2 bars. It doesn't look particularly lethal. It is. You just watch. You watch. We're gonna restart the game, and we're being told that Betty needs to evolve to kill. Betty's infected most of the world. In order to kill Betty, we must evolve lethal advanced symptoms using DNA points. So exactly what we just done. And we just sit back any second now. Keep watching the dead count. There we go. 2,000. Jumped away 1,000 dog people already. And now, in a normal checkup, a doctor in Australia found a new disease which has been named Betty. Why on earth they would do that? Don't know, but they did. Oh, I know, because we told them to. Anyway, it appears to be mostly harmless, but must be investigated further. Okay, he must be a pretty corrupt doctor not to notice the fact it's causing major organ failure and causing people to fall into comas. He's a pretty shit doctor. Right, so we're going to carry on, pop a DNA level for no apparent reason, and the first death from Betty has been confirmed in the Philippines. Now we sit back and we wait. Now we get the message saying there's no one healthy left on Earth. There we go. That should have come up earlier, but it didn't. Now we're just sitting back, and as you can see, we're going up on people are dying. the US have closed down their airports, or at least one of the airports, to try and stop the spread of Betty. Little they know it's way, way too late. There are two ways to fight development of the cure. Well, yes, I should talk about this. There are two ways to fight the cure, which as you can see now is at 2%. Doctors around the world are beginning to look into it. We can either do what we've already done and up the lethality of your plague so that it kills everyone way too quickly for the doctors to be able to do anything. Right now, Betty's causing people's organs to completely fail, and the people are falling into coma, which is going to be very, very hard for them to find a cure anyway. But you can also put points into more abilities that we haven't didn't show off yet, but they're here. We also didn't actually touch the bacterial resilience because we didn't need to in the end, but that can help if you're struggling to get into different countries. Anyway, we have these two here: genetic hardening and genetic reshuffle. And what these do, the genetic reshuffle basically reshuffles your plague's DNA. It literally completely changes its genetic makeup. It changes so much that the doctors are like, what? What the hell is going on? They cannot. They could be 50% ready on a cure, and then DNA structure of your plague completely changes and it sets them back to 25 or something. You know, maybe not as much as that, but it sets them back a long way. And if you do that good 3 times, and we also have genetic hardening, and we have that twice, which makes it very hard for them to analyze and replicate the effects of your plague in the lab, which makes it very hard for them to research and really decreases their research speed on it. So we can keep those as backups if the doctors are somehow developing the cure faster than we're expecting. We can keep these, jump in here, buy some genetic hardening, buy genetic reshuffle, completely fuck them over a little bit when they're trying to cure the world. But at the moment, we're sitting pretty. They're at 4%. 40 million people are dead already. Betty's been placed on the World Health Organization watch list. They're aware that it's dangerous and that it could become unstoppable. The World Health Organization are aware of this, but little to know it's going to be way too late. And here is another major part of this game. Russia are leading the global cure effort. Russia has started to send research teams to infected countries, hoping to speed the development of a cure for Betty. And as you can see, there's a little blue plane here. You might have just seen him there. And any second, we're going to get this, a little blue bottle. And we're going to pop them. Oh look, and Betty has developed paralysis. Lovely, that's another great symptom to have. Let's look at paralysis. Where is paralysis? You are there. The pathogen destroys motor neurons to cause paralysis, significantly harder to cure and can be lethal. So it's even more lethal, and Betty did that all by herself. Good on you, Betty. Right, so these little vials here, little blue vials will pop up. Help slow down the development of the cure, because Russia are sending out teams to try and investigate and do some research into Betty, but we're kind of sabotaging it from the inside. Shh, don't tell the Russians. So Betty has now killed 75 million people and is worse than the Black Death. It's killed a lot more than that. 120 million people, worse than Spanish flu, and that happened in the space of 2 seconds. 200 million, 250 million, 280 million, 300 million. The world's dead. You can tell you already. Sweden and instructing doctors to research a cure. We're at 16%. Nothing to worry about. And just sit back. We could probably, you know what? We could go 3 times or the highest beating, which looks like 3 times faster. New statistics show that Betty is the deadliest plague ever. It's killed over 300 million people worldwide. It's worse than smallpox. We're going to go up to 3 times faster. Here they are, the old Russians. Normal life in Morocco is beginning to break down due to Betty. Cure research is starting to slow. This is also useful. Countries fall into anarchy, then the governments fall. It makes this cure slower. The research for cure slower. The cure for Betty though is at 21%. Nothing to worry about. We can just keep going. Look at this. The rate over 1 billion people now. Doctors everywhere are desperately trying to find a cure for Betty now. There's over 1 billion people. Nearly 2 billion. 2 billion people are now dead. Betty has killed a lot of people, and she's still going. Look how lethal this thing is. They've got to 50%. We could just to fuck with them, slow them down, but there's no point. It's going to just start grinding to a halt. There we go. The USA has fallen into anarchy due to Betty, and no cure research can be done. America will no longer help contribute to the cure. It's just everyone's rioting. There's no control. The country's falling. There's nothing there. Russia is still desperately trying to find a cure, but if we keep an eye down here now, it's just going to grind to a halt. Nothing's going to happen. Well, it should do, as there's less than 1 billion people left on Earth. Russia is still trying to go, but it's no use. We've backed up 107 points here. There's no point in even touching the cure abilities we were talking about earlier. Russia is still going. Them crafty Russians, but look at this. That's nearly less than 100 million coming up to less than 100 million people. It was too little, too late. Less than 100 million. Betty has effectively wiped out the world. We'll get a message sometime soon saying that the world has fallen to Betty. There's no chance now. Research has pretty much ground to a halt here. And that is really the tactic for this game. Keep your plague hidden. Make sure it has no symptoms. Infect the world. Make sure it's very effective we're doing your best not to put any points into symptoms. Infect the world. Back up a load of points. Get a nice big backlog. Get straight to major organ, complete and total organ failure and coma, maybe even paralysis. Betty's got nausea, so the last 1.3 million people can throw up as they die. So good on you, Betty. And you know, try not to put any into symptoms. Keep it hidden. Get everyone infected. Make sure you've got a nice backlog of points, and then just wipe humanity out. Get it to make it extremely lethal in one fell shot, and then boom. You don't have to go anywhere near the cure abilities. You got the 70%, but no further. Betty has destroyed the world despite the world's best efforts. The last few humans know they are watching the end of history. This was an extinction event for humanity. We completely and utterly wiped out the world. We're less than 500,000 people left alive, and we're still falling. We did it in a space of a few years. We'll pop that bubble for another reason. It gives us something to do. Floating coming down to less than 100,000 any minute now. Less than 100,000 people left on Earth. Less than 50, less than 20, less than 10, less than 1,000 dead. The whole world has died. There we go. Betty has successfully eliminated all life on Earth. And that really is the best way to do it. Keep your plague hidden. Infect the world. Up its lethality. Wipe out the world in one fell swoop. And make sure you've got a backlog, so in case the cure goes faster than you expected, which it can do on some of the different plague types, you can do the genetic reshuffle, the genetic hardening to help you slow down that cure. But there we go, Betty has successfully limited all life on Earth. And then you get a handy dandy little look back. It took us 931 days, our genetic complexity was very complex, the cure got to 70%, it was a bacteria on normal, we got 5,170 points, and that got us 3 stars. This is effectively the star rating system, and we got 3. I think the first time I did Norax on normal, I actually got a really high score. Did it in a really quick amount of time and got 5 stars. My Norax worm called Bob enslaved the world. Everyone started worshipping Bob. We get a little sort of time lapse here. You can speed up to show exactly what happened. So you can just sort of see Betty here, slowly starting off in India, and eventually it will just spread everywhere. And we're not going to sit here and watch it because it's very slow and boring, and we've already seen all this. But you can, if you want to, afterwards. You can see here Betty's beginning to spread, and you can watch back what happened. We're not going to. We're going to exit. And I've unlocked a new gene type. I'll talk about those in another video, because I will do another video, hopefully very shortly. Hopefully, of me desperately trying to beat the I'll show you now, actually. Desperately trying to beat the Necroa virus, which is Plague Inc.'s zombie mode. The Necroa virus is a zombie plague. It does get spotted very quickly, and one of its early symptoms is it has 2 symptoms at the beginning: insomnia and salivation. Makes people salivate a lot, which isn't really any concern. It shouldn't be any much concern to doctors, because they're not really lethal, not going to cause much of a problem. But scientists have a feeling that Necrovirus will cause tumours, so they're very worried about this, so they investigate it further. And they start looking into a cure to get rid of it, because they're damn certain that it's going to cause tumours. Once that happens, it's a race against time to get your Necrovirus reanimating the dead. Which is fun. I completed it once. I've tried a couple of times on Brutal, and I get the cure before I can do it. It's very hard. I've beaten up to Parasite on Brutal, which is why the little pandemic kind of plague symbol here is gold. All of these ones, but not the Necroa, the Prion, Nanovirus, and Bioweapon, because I haven't done those on Brutal yet. But I have done them on Normal. So stay tuned. Hopefully, that should be our tagline for this channel. Hopefully, hopefully this will happen. That's just summed up in one word. Well, not one word, but anyway, hopefully you'll see me beating the Necrovirus on Brutal. So I hope to see you then, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.